We're going to talk today about performance rights organizations. And if you're watching this video, it's assumed that you've already watched our other one or you have an understanding about what a performance rights organization is. If you have not watched that other video about what a performance rights organization is and does, please go check out that other video. It's on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe as well. And then you'll be updated every time that we release a new video. So if you have watched that video or you do have an understanding, go on and carry forward. We're going to talk about which P.R.O. you should join. And I know as a beginning songwriter just starting out in this business, whether it's licensing or writing for artists, it can be quite overwhelming, all these new things that you're learning about in the business. So I wanted to put this video together to talk about which one you should join. So let's dive in. First, we'll do a quick brush up on what a P.R.O. is and does. A P.R.O. stands for Performance Rights Organization, also called performing rights societies. Their primary job is to administer and to collect public performance royalties for you as a songwriter and a publisher. You are your own publisher when you write a song, right? And that means anytime it airs on TV or at a venue or on Netflix or a streaming platform or at a grocery store or at a coffee shop, whatever it is, their job is to collect that public performance income for you. Again, to learn more about this, check out that other video on what a P.R.O. is. To join, you need one song written and available to the public, which means published. If it's available to the public, it's been published, whether it's on your own website or on Spotify, whatever it is, you just need one song written. Very easy, write one song. It could be as simple as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and your arrangement of it, and you publish that publicly, and suddenly you have a published song and you can sign up for a P.R.O., which you definitely should do. All right, which P.R.O. should you choose? Let's talk about all three in the US, the main three. There's a fourth one called GMR, which is reserved for superstar artists and hit songwriters, multi-million in sales, multi-platinum writers. It was started by Irving Azoff. That's not accessible for us just starting out. So, and SESAC, while it's by invite only, all that means is a friend of yours can introduce you to SESAC and you can get invited in. But let's talk about the three choices and compare the differences. And also we'll discuss the similarities between the three too. And then I'll give you my choice of what I think you should join, what I think you should sign up for, and why. ASCAP was formed in 1914. They are the oldest, okay? BMI was formed in 1939. Shortly following that, SESAC was set up. ASCAP is the second largest in the US currently. In January of 2021. They have approximately 790,000 members. It's a massive organization. BMI is the absolute largest with over 1.1 million members, but still pretty close to ASCAP. They're both super large organizations, okay? You have to understand that. When it comes to getting personal attention, it's going to be hard with ASCAP and BMI. SESAC is by far the smallest with over 30,000 writers. ASCAP has discounts on certain deals in health, and they have dental, and not the same you'll get at working for a corporation, but they do have some discounts if you sign up through them. Also instrument protection. If you're a touring artist and you're traveling and your instrument gets damaged, ASCAP has an insurance program you can sign up for to protect your instruments and your gear, so that can come in handy. BMI has all sorts of other discounts and other memberships and events throughout the year. Same with SESAC, discounts on memberships. I did not see any sort of health or dental thing going with BMI or SESAC. They may have access to one. Again, it's an independent organization. When you sign up through ASCAP, if you want health or dental, you're not getting that coverage through ASCAP. They're not covering you the way if it would if you were working for a Chase Bank or a corporation or something. But ASCAP will give you discounts if you sign up on your own through using your ASCAP member ID through this other external organization. So ASCAP has an annual expo, and it's an extra cost. When you're just starting out, I was with ASCAP as a writer. I'm not anymore, but I was. And I did attend the ASCAP Expo, and there was some value in that. I made a lot of new connections and just met a lot of people in the industry. And anyone who knows me, you know that I talk about networking and how important it is to network. So there is a plus that comes with that. BMI and SESAC don't have that annual event that ASCAP does. ASCAP's run by a board that consists of songwriters and publishers, so it's literally run by its members. BMI, on the other hand, and SESAC are run by executives, businessmen and women. Now, most of those executives have experience in the music business. They've run other companies, other publishing companies, or record labels, or they're also have they're songwriters in their own right. But it is run by executives, or what some people like to call suits. ASCAP has a 1-year contract. Now, just to explain, when you sign up with a P.R.O, what you're doing is you're assigning them the right to administer and manage your public performance rights, which are granted to you by writing a song. You have that right as a copyright holder it's the exclusive right to allow others to publicly perform your works. And it's impossible as an individual to police all of that performance. So you sign up with ASCAP or BMI or SESAC or some others around the world to do that job for you. ASCAP's deal is for 1 year. BMI is for 2 years, and SESAC is for 3 years. Very easy to remember. You enter in a contract with them, and they are your exclusive P.R.O, meaning that no other P.R.O can represent you. You cannot be with ASCAP as a writer and simultaneously be with BMI as a writer. When your contract is up, you can then choose to terminate within a certain window. You give them notification of your termination, and you can then move over to another P.R.O. But while you're with that P.R.O, while you're in contract, you are locked to that P.R.O. ASCAP, there's a $50 application fee to join. BMI is free to join, and SESAC also has a $50 application fee to join. This can be a huge factor for you when starting out, and I think a lot of people look at this and say, well, BMI is free to join, the others have a cost, so I'll just go with BMI. And I've got to say there's nothing wrong with that perspective, so it's something to definitely consider. What else about SESAC? SESAC's approach with having only just over 30,000 members relative to ASCAP and BMI being close to 1 million is that you get a bigger piece of a smaller pie and you get more personalized attention. It's a bit easier to reach somebody when you're with SESAC. Now, like I said, I started with ASCAP as a writer. I went to SESAC. And we'll go over those reasons why I left ASCAP shortly. But with SESAC, I expected more personalized attention, and I did get some, especially at first. And it was easier to reach somebody. I still can reach somebody much easier at SESAC than I could when I was with ASCAP. I think it really comes in handy to be with SESAC if you're a writer with a lot of activity. I don't have a ton of activity as a writer because I'm more of a publisher than I am a writer. So most of my activity comes from all three as a publisher, which we can talk about too. So let's talk about the similarities between all three, ASCAP, BMI, and SESAC, because we've discussed the differences, and it's important for you to understand the similarities between the three. They all have offices in LA, New York, and Nashville. So if you're close to one of those hubs, or if you happen to travel there, you can always stop by the office and meet people, shake their hands, which I recommend you do because it's really hard to stand out when you're with a massive organization like this. And you do want to be able to reach people and have a point of contact at your P.R.O. The royalties are evenly divided between the writer and a publisher, which we discussed in the previous video. You get the writer share and the publishing share evenly divided between the two. They all distribute royalties quarterly. SESAC gives you the option of getting monthly distributions, but all three of them will distribute quarterly. They all offer different discounts and benefits by joining one of them. The payouts, generally speaking, are 6 to 9 months delayed. And what I mean by that is when it airs on a TV show or anywhere, it's usually 6 to 9 months later that you get paid for those airings. It takes them a bit of time to process the cue sheets to pay out for those airings. So 6 to 9 months delay is a normal amount of time for a P.R.O. Okay, we've discussed the similarities and differences between them. So drum roll. My choice for the #1 P.R.O. that you should sign up with as a writer is BMI. Why does BMI take the cake for me? As a publisher, I'm with all three because I publish writers from ASCAP, so I have to be a publisher with ASCAP. I publish writers from BMI, so I have to be a registered publisher with BMI. And I publish writers from SESAC, so I have to be a registered publisher with SESAC. Years ago, I landed several massive ad campaigns. I say massive because we had 9 Kmart spots, and it was for an ASCAP writer that I work with. So what I did was I went out and signed up for a company where I was able to track the usage, the ad usage. It was called Competitrack. It's something else nowadays. But I signed up for them and I was able to track down all the commercials, and I went ahead and gathered the data, because with commercials there aren't really cue sheets. There's media buys. It's a whole different thing. So I had to gather the data, and I presented this data to ASCAP, and I said to my contact there, here's what my statement paid, and here's all these other airings of this commercial. And they flat out told me they couldn't accept my data. So for that, I was pretty miffed about that. And frankly, because I had proof that it aired elsewhere publicly, and they're basically saying, no, we can't accept your data, even though it came from a reputable source, and they're going to pay me what they're going to pay me. So I was a little miffed about that. Also, my other thing about ASCAP was that my rep left, and since then there's been a lot of turnover, and I no longer really have a point of contact, and it's very hard to reach somebody at ASCAP. They'll direct you through their member dashboard, which I understand that's the way they have to manage things with 790,000 members. But with BMI, who has more members than ASCAP, I'm able to reach somebody. I get a response. It may take a little time, but I do get a response. So I get a little more love from BMI. And that's one of the reasons I choose BMI. Another reason I would choose BMI over ASCAP is because they're run by executives. There's a lot of money to manage in these organizations. A ton of administration goes into it. And if you can think about this for a moment, how reliable are songwriters and artists at managing a company versus CFOs and CEOs and people that have managed large scale corporations? So that's just a personal opinion about it. And I think that there's something to be considered there. Artists tend to be a little scattered. I'm guilty of it, and tend to be sometimes flaky. So when it comes to an organization that's literally run by songwriters and publishers versus a one that's run by executives, I actually want the executives managing my money. I would want a financial planning company managing my money, not, songwriters. Okay, so there's something to be said for that, I think. Just my opinion. Again, ASCAP, I think you guys are great at what you do. I'm just giving like the leg up that I think BMI has. With SESAC, it's a great organization. You do get a little more personalized attention, but I have come across an occasional opportunity here or there as a publisher where the client says, we want ASCAP and BMI writers only because we don't have a deal in place with SESAC. Another reason I'd choose BMI over ASCAP is because if you compare the two statements, which I've done, I've landed placements before where I have an ASCAP writer and a BMI writer, and it's the same exact placement airing at the same time of day. And I literally compare the statements, and you can see a slight increase in payment from BMI versus ASCAP. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. If you're interested in getting your songs into your favorite TV shows, films, commercials, trailers, and video games, you're going to want to check out the free guide below.